All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I hope everyone enjoyed the cookies. The next speaker is a personal friend of mine, parameter security and all of ShowMeCon. He's got over 15 years experience in IT and security and 5 years experience coming and speaking at ShowMeCon. This is Arnar Gunnarsson. He's here from Reykjavik, Iceland, and he is the CTO of one of the largest host providers in Iceland. And he's going to talk a little bit about cloud security today. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeremy. So, how are we doing today? Oh man, I love the crowd here in the States. Back home or somewhere in Europe, I have to say good morning at least 3 times before the crowd says something back. So thanks for that. Always great. So yeah, who am I? Jeremy gave here a great introduction, but yeah, I'm the CTO of Origo, which is, yes, one of the largest MSP in Iceland. I've been there for about 8 years now, doing pretty much everything, like, of course, for operations, my CTO role there. I just started a new division for us called Technical Future. I know, great name or not, but you can think of it as we're an internal think tank / startup incubator inside the company. So there are 2 of us there. Our sole job is thinking of new solutions, finding new products, evaluating new products, and if some of our great staff comes up with new ideas, we help them to design it, make something out of it, and hopefully make something great. So yeah, 15 years experience in IT. Yeah, even though I'm young, it's 15 plus years now. It's starting to count up. There's my Twitter handle. I don't really use Twitter as much. I try my best. Then now, most companies, at least back home, the next question is always, okay, you have some experience, what have you done? Are you certified in something? And I don't like the whole talk about having certs, what certs you have, what you don't have. So a friend of mine actually coined the idea 2 years ago, and I've been using that. So I've got 1.1 pounds of certs. Just pile them up all together and weight them. 1.1 pounds. I think that's a good idea how to count certs. You can pick whatever they are, but they're from multi-vendors. Icelandic. I'm from Iceland. People think it's a hard language. It isn't. We learn it as babies. If we can do it, then everybody else can do. But it's just a matter of where you begin. So we have things like this. Yeah, I just love that photo. So that's the volcano that pretty much stopped all of air travel in Europe a couple of years ago. The name is Eyjafjallajökull. And some of them here have heard it. That's a hard word. We're not going to look into that. That's not a word to begin with. And those are all cities in Iceland. So, yeah, we have our different difficult words, but we also have some easy words. So, let's start now. I'm going to teach you an Icelandic word. The word for snow. Anybody in here has a guess about how many words we got for snow? Somebody shout something. 8. That's a good idea. The one that shouted 8, here's a chocolate bar for you. You come up and get it. Icelandic chocolate bar. There you go. No. They're actually pretty more. Those all mean snow. One way or another. That isn't even the complete list. That's just what I remembered when I was making the slides. Yeah, and yeah, we have some large ones there, like hundslappadriva, skeiðadriva, and then there's one bold letter there, snær, and that's actually my middle name. So my full name is Arnar Gunnarsson. So pretty much, my name is Arnar Snow, but I'm not a bastard. So the name Snow, that's just pretty normal for us. But the thing is, like, the word for wind, we got 120 words for wind. It's always windy and snowy in Iceland. So we need to have something to talk about. And yeah, now we learn something new. What are we here to do today? We're going to talk a little bit about security in the cloud, doing vendor due diligence, trying to at least grasp the situation a little, because doing background check on cloud vendors is something we're not currently doing as an industry, and that's bad. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to go over some issues that face us currently. I'll show you some examples how really bad it can get. The vendors I name here have all been anonymized, and none of them are out here. So all of our great vendors in here at ShowMeCon, this is not about any of them. So, why do we need this talk? Do we really need to talk about this? Isn't this something we think about all the time? We all talk about security all the time. We know it's something we need to do. It's important for us. But then, why this talk? When the cloud revolution started, everybody that had some criticism, said something bad about the cloud, talked about security, he was immediately marked as a bad influence. Because, yeah, at the time, we needed to jumpstart cloud adoption. And I love the cloud. All the things, especially if we think about the last 12 to 16 months, we've been seeing new solutions these days that we even didn't think about that we might need. And with machine learning and AI, we've been doing some amazing things. But now, it's time to look back. We really need to think about this. It was a necessary evil at the time. We ignored it to get the jump start on it. You can see there a quote from ITG Connect. Advice from a CISO, it's time to start fearing cloud security. We've been seeing these things for the last 6, 7, 8 years. Everybody's saying cloud security is fine. Some of the time it is, some of the time it isn't. The real thing is we've been asking the wrong questions or focusing on the wrong questions. What we want to know currently when we are looking into cloud solutions is, where is the data stored? Are there backups? Is the cloud vendor certified or using a certified solution from another vendor? These are the wrong questions. Yeah, they're the ones to begin with, and they're really important, but there are more that we'll go over now. So, let's take a refresher course in selecting new software products. And now begins the fun part of the presentation. Vendor due diligence is something we all think is boring, but it's something we really need to do. Every industry, certification, standard there is, all has their own take on it, whatever they call it. Or if they call it supplier performance, supplier relationships, process agreement, vendor management, or third-party risk. This is the boring stuff, but we need to do it. If we think about going back in IT, when we were selecting new solutions for on-prem, it took us a while. The whole business was always complaining, IT is so slow. Slow to deliver, slow to do everything. That's because IT was doing their vendor due diligence. They were checking all the boxes, making sure everything was okay. So, when we were finding new on-premise products, what did we do? We started finding a project manager for it. Always the first step. Then came a million boring steps that took a long, long time. This is what was the problem. And I know you can see it, it's because it doesn't matter. These are the things we know. Doing regulatory checks, cost analysis, creating a timetable from it, creating project team, setting up development. And if everything got accepted, you went ahead, decided to buy the product. What's the first step? We deleted everything and set it up again. Then, how does currently the business handle buying cloud software? That's business cat on the left and marketing cat on the right. You have all heard of this talk between them. Business cat says, I need something to do this. Marketing cat says, oh, I just got an email about it from a nondescript vendor. Business cat says, oh, how much is it going to cost? Something, $50,000 a month. They say just, okay, let's buy it. And the day after, they have a new software, really happy, and start complaining about how fast they do it because IT is slow. This is what we are facing. We automatically accept that loads of things in cloud is fine. It must be. Right? So, we love the cloud. We know that. And that's a great graph I just draw. You can decide what it means. Adoption, number of software in the cloud, percentage of infrastructure in the cloud, you decide. But it's an exponential graph of cloud adoption, whatever the graphs mean. If you think about the news we've been getting, this happened a month ago. Azure has topped AWS for revenue. AWS, the big giant that has always been there, Azure has taken the lead. Those three, that's what? 15 point something billion dollars for Q1 for cloud. And you can see Google isn't there. IBM is third. And most companies didn't even know that IBM had a cloud, but they actually have like 3 clouds. They have SoftLayer, they have Bluemix, and now they're working on a development cloud. So, we've always getting the golden promises about cloud security. Everybody's saying that it's fine. What's more secure than the cloud, says Forbes. 4 reasons why the cloud is more secure than legacy systems, says Tripwire. And InfoWorld says, IT pros agree, security is better in the cloud. Yeah, sometimes. Definitely. But that's only because it's further away from us that we think it's better. We've all met a software vendor that we were going to buy a product from. That was his office. That's where he hosted your software. We know it because we actually met the guy and saw him driving over there. With cloud, we don't see it, but that's still the case. And even if you paid even more, and we're like, I'm not going to buy a software from that guy again. I'm going to find a better vendor now. Yeah, he just had a better shed than the other guy. We know loads of companies that are doing on-premise, that are selling some stuff, has been made by two guys in a shed, in a garage. That's why we created that huge checklist about doing our vendor due diligence, about background check into the software before we buy it. But then cloud, we were like, no, it's in the cloud, it's far away from us, I'll never be able to meet the guy, so it must be fine. Yeah. This is an actual picture from Iceland. So we had a big heist a year ago where they were broken into a couple of data centers and about 600 Bitcoin miners were stolen. And they were searching all over the country. And on a small island, they found this. Those are just two containers. You can see they even digged a hole here for the cable, but didn't cover it up or anything. Come on, you can see the cooling rack here. It looks flimsy. You could just open that up. That's actually what the cops did. They thought that was a stolen equipment and just broke into it. No. Those were just some poor Russian people that moved to Iceland and started their Bitcoin mining careers. They rented two containers, rented a space on the dock, and put them there. They're only ever in Iceland about 3 months, a year or something. So all of a sudden, when the Bitcoin miners all went offline, they were like, what the fuck? But that was just the cops. And that's the thing we have. Even though it's a cloud, it might be in a container. At a dock, at a small island in Iceland. We actually have most of the Bitcoin miners in the world in Iceland. We have some pretty big data centers, and most of them are there. But now we have the examples. This is true. So, a couple of years ago, I decided I'm going to pick a fight. Through my job, when I was evaluating new software, I was like, no, I'm going to make the cloud vendors go through every hoop there is. And I spent months on this. And now we're going to go over some things I found out. They had all the promises. Fully automated, zero possibility of accidental. Let's not go over that. I don't want to give up too much. Multiple redundant Amazon S3 storage architecture. I was really happy about seeing that. Then it started getting some suspicious. Instant full text search, rich search filtering. Okay, I continued. Then came everything that everybody wants to hear. Unlimited data and low monthly fee. So pretty much everybody seeing that were like, that must be a pretty good solution. It's built on Amazon S3 buckets, so they're storing their data really good. This is something we should look into. Yeah, they got 2 or 3 A4 pages filled with questions from me. And they had loads of meetings. We discussed this back and forth, back and forth. Then, a couple of weeks later, at meeting 3 or 4, I was just at a normal meeting with the same contact I've had for a couple of months now. And he started introducing the people that were on the call on the other end. And that's when I started thinking, okay, this is something. They are the executive vice president, strategic manager, compliance manager, 2 lawyers, and the co-founder of the company. And I was still just the single guy on the other end, like, okay, why? Then they started to answer my questions. That's when the fun happened. So, the first thing I did was appraising them on deciding upon AWS S3 storage buckets. I was like, that's a great choice. I'm so happy about hearing that. Yeah. Then the call went dead for a while. And one of the executives says, what? Does that still say so? Oh no, we moved everything to our own data center in a certain location. And I checked it up when I was creating the slides. It still says AWS S3 buckets. But I know they're storing the data in their own data center. It probably in a container like I showed you before. So what's actually behind the promise? How can we actually find out what's true or not? Because even if I was going through the phases of buying the software, I would never have gotten this information, except I was always asking more and more and more. Then I asked them about data mining. Because if you remember, they said instant full text search and rich search filtering. That means they're data mining and indexing my data. Okay, that's scary. So I asked them especially about that. And they say they data mine everything so we can index and make your search faster. And they index everything in a shared database that they control all of the customer data from all of their customers. So now my data is lying on a database with data from all of their customers. So no matter what I do to try to secure my data, they've already data mined it and moved it somewhere else also. Yeah, that's really bad. And if something were to happen to that, if there was an exploit found out, even though I was just searching, I could have accidentally found data for someone else because it's a shared database. There were no restrictions in it. That gave me some worry, so I started asking more. Okay, since you're doing that, who has access to my data? Who actually has it? Then came the next answer. Every employee with sysadmin role has access to every data from every customer. Come on, for a 100 employee company, not every sysadmin has access to every data. That's just, you don't do that. Create your roles, define the roles, at least it's fine. Some things need to be done. It's fine if there's a guy or two that has access to everything. Sometimes that's just needed. But every admin has access to every customer data? No. So I said no and thank you. But then again, 6 months later, and again 8 months after that, they still contacted me. They were like, are you sure? No. And I was asking them to fix this. And they still wouldn't fix it. They didn't understand the problem. They're like, no, we've always done it. Yeah, you can't. So, next story. This was an even bigger one. This was a big Microsoft partner. They're in all of the conferences. They're being advertised pretty big for the last 5 years now. And while waiting here, I just got an email from them that they were announcing something big and big deals and everything. And they said all the right things. Enterprise class management, built for the enterprise. Our platform was built for large service providers. Multi-tenant, supports hybrid setup. Another one of our buzzwords. And then, again, what we wanted to see. Unlimited data and a low monthly fee, because that makes us buy it. Yeah, no. They got a 6-page report from me asking them more questions. And the whole thing started over again. I was in the meetings with their VP of marketing, VP of development, the CTO and everything. And they got the problem. The first answer I got was, this is a quote, "Thanks for your response and candid feedback. We can't argue with any point made." It's like, no, you're right. It was that bad. A couple of months later, they again contacted me. The bugs you called out are easily fixed. Reaching back out if you still want to engage with us. So they fixed something, and they really did. They fixed it. But after looking at what they were doing, I was still like, no, I can't. They had unencrypted domain admin passwords in all of config files. You had an agent on your machine, you had a config setup in their cloud, and then on the backend system, all of those locations, everything was unencrypted. So, we created a reporting user to look into it, and he found out the domain admin password. They didn't encrypt anything. And again, all their employees have access to everything. Okay, like we said before, sometimes that's needed. Sometimes you just need to have access to be able to fix something. Then on to my next question. How do I make sure that I know if you're using or reading my data? And then came the answer, oh, I'm sorry, there's no auditing, no log trails, no nothing. I couldn't even get a log if I logged into the system. So more thinking, I was asking them, okay, still I need to make sure my data is safe. You now told me all your employees can see my data. I have no assurance that you're not using my data or you're not accessing it. I can't audit you. What's the next step? I asked, of course, okay, if somebody is going to come in and steal your stuff, is there encryption? No. They didn't even have encryption addressed on the data. And this is a big company that's presenting a lot today. And this is still true mostly. They fixed some of them, like they encrypted the domain admin password, but still they're not using encryption. No data address is encrypted because they have to optimize their backups. Yeah, we can't be doing this. Do we need more examples? This is from, Monday, I think? We know the vendors aren't doing enough. We're the ones that can make them understand. Ask the hard questions. Do the hard things. We're the ones that can make them change. We've accepted that if we're buying a SaaS solution, it's a ready-made product that we can't do anything about it. Either we buy it or we don't. But as you can see from the just 2 examples I brought, I have many more. They try to make changes. So these cloud vendors are willing to work with us, but we need to ask the questions. So, is all lost? No. We need just to separate the myths from the facts. When I first started talking about this 3 years ago now, I got shut out because people were like, no, you can't talk bad about cloud security because cloud security is so good. Yeah, it is. And cloud security is really good because remember those sheds. It's at least sometimes better than that. But still, we just need to separate fact from myth. Ask the hard questions. Now on to my favorite subject in the whole world, or not. I actually hope that I didn't have to say the word GDPR when I came to the States. This has been our world in Europe for 3 years now. Yeah. I'm just waiting for the biggest lawsuits to come because then I'm going to need to change everything. Come on, there's a built-in catch-22 in GDPR. If a customer calls you and asks you to delete all their data, sure, you have to comply with it. You send him the confirmation, we've deleted all your data. Okay? The same customer contacts you again after 2 weeks and says, can you send me the confirmation that you've deleted all my data? What's the right response? Who said, who are you? Yeah, there's a chocolate for you also. Yeah, of course, the only right answer is, who are you? If you said, oh yeah, here it is, or no, I'm sorry. There you go. We've already deleted it. Then you're accepting that you still have his data and you're in breach of GDPR. But still, as there's like that, stupid things in GDPR, it's our savior. Well, yeah, it can be. Because it's forcing the vendors to do their due diligence more. It's forcing them to encrypt the data. It's forcing them to do role separation. What we as an industry must help is not letting more things like this happen. And I know it's hard to read. Dear Unroll Me user, this notice is to inform you that as of the 24th of May, we have suspended services in Europe, and we have terminated your account. They just didn't want to deal with the EU and GDPR, so they just closed off Europe. Okay. I know GDPR is a hassle, but doesn't that create more questions about their security than if they hadn't done it? Same with a couple of newspapers. LA Times, we're currently unavailable in your region. And they weren't the only. I think the Chicago Tribune and a paper in Orlando also did it. They just closed off Europe. They didn't want to deal with GDPR. And yeah, for me, that just raises more questions about what they're actually doing. From that, what are you going to do? This is something we know how to do. It's something we've been doing all along. We've been doing this like we've been talking about now. We've been doing this for our on-premise stuff for ages. We got all of these checklists. We got all of our procedures to evaluate these vendors. We just need to adopt them, create new questions, and really bug them. Ask questions. Don't accept something as default. Ask questions. Ask for new features. Ask for more. Some of them will say just no, just find another. If you're evaluating a cloud vendor and you're asking them about security and they're unwilling to answer you or unwilling to change, yeah, that again creates more questions than we originally had. We need to create our new checklists. We have them, just adopt them. Make the change. We all know what we need to do. And yeah, no, I love the cloud. I'm saying it again, I'm not against the cloud. We were one of the early adopters for like 365. But we still can't forget this. We need to think about it. And all of our security vendors are doing great things now. Most of them have new cloud solutions that help us to evaluate these solutions. So if we're going to buy new cloud solutions, buy add-on protection. Find some vendor that will help you do this. So that's all I have for now. Questions?
How are you handling at the executive level the conversation of slow down? Because I found that it's not at the executive level that's happened. It's actually encouraging, go fast, make it happen, and the people who are best positioned to slow things down are being bypassed.
Yeah, that's so true. The question was like, how do we handle this at an executive level? Because the people that really need to be involved are being just skipped from the queue. That's why we need to talk more about these things. We need to show the examples. And I'm all against scare tactics, but use real-world examples. If you show your CEO this, or something that directly relates to your executives, they will understand. Show them that something that they can directly relate to themselves. That's always been working for us. Good question. There's the last chocolate bar for you. Any other questions? There you go. Somebody else? Then I thank you so much. Have a great day.